what are the basic things newbies should know about Theosophy? It comes from the Greek word theos, which means God or divine. And of course, Sophia, which means wisdom. Actually, honestly, I usually thought before that Theosophy meant it's a combination of theology and philosophy. But when I started studying Theosophy, it's not the combination of theology and philosophy. No, it's more than that. It really comes from the word divine wisdom. Okay. Well, in the Key to Theosophy, the founder H.P. Blavatsky said that people should know that such a thing as Theosophy exists, and to help them to succeed toward it by studying and assimilating its eternal verities. You know, Theosophy has a lot of names. There's so much variety in its nomenclature. Many synonyms to it, one of which Theosophy is also known as the ageless wisdom, the ancient wisdom. H.P. Blavatsky, in her magnum opus, the 3 volumes, she called it the secret doctrine, which is the synthesis of religion, science, and philosophy. She also called it the accumulated wisdom of the ages. Another name for Theosophy is the esoteric philosophy. It is also called occult science, or as I already mentioned at first, the golden thread. Of course, there are other names. Okay, if we make a survey of the religions and of course the intellectuals in history, they have somehow described this ageless wisdom, this golden thread, in different terms. For example, in Christianity, it was known as the semina verbi, or the seeds of the word. This was the term used by the fathers of the church during that time, like Clement of Alexandria, Origen, Basil of Caesarea, Gregory of Nyssa, Leo the Great, and of course, Augustine of Hippo. In Islam, it is called the Din al-Fitra. Hinduism calls it the Sanatana Dharma, or the eternal religion, the eternal teaching. Neoplatonism called it the Golden Chain. Marsilio Ficino, he called it the Prisca Theologia. Iamblichus, he said that it's the knowledge of God is innate in all. Of course, Aldous Huxley, he mentioned about this when he termed it the Philosophia Perennis, or the perennial philosophy. Of course, one of the great scholars of comparative religion, Fridtjof Schuon, he called it the Religio Perennis. René Guénon, the Sophia Perennis. Another great scholar of comparative religion, Houston Smith, he called it the primordial tradition. He even said that if we take the world's enduring religions at their best, we discover the distilled wisdom of the human race. Ken Wilber somehow mentioned a little bit about it. He called it the neo-perennial philosophy. I personally call it, and I'd like to call it, Theosoccultus, okay, which is the occult theosophy. Theosophy is the pure nectar of the divine wisdom discerned within all the world's religious, spiritual, scientific, and philosophical systems beyond their particular exoteric forms and expressions. Let me give a very close to heart or very Filipino metaphor of theosophy. No? Theosophy, like coconut milk squeezed from various coconuts, is the extracted essence of universal truth from the tree of divine wisdom itself. It is the ancient yet ageless wisdom within Eastern and Western esotericism and mysticism, Gnosticism, theurgy, paganism, Wicca, occultism, alchemy, Kabbalah, Neoplatonism, Pythagoreanism, the mystery religions of antiquity, Freemasonry, and even of shamanism and the indigenous religions. Hence, it is that I also describe it, as I already said, that it is the occult theosophy, which means the inner or the hidden side of things. The ideas and principles of theosophy are the recurrent spiritual motifs that run through all the world's religions and wisdom traditions as a garland of multicolored flowers are strung on a single thread. For this reason, the primordial tradition suggests that there is absolutely no particular religion or belief system above the rest, no criteria for comparative supremacy except the compelling force of truth. As the motto of the Theosophical Society said, there is no religion higher than truth. I would even modify this a little bit and say, there is no religion other than truth. Let me clarify a little bit and say that Theosophy is not the exclusive property of the Theosophical Society. Okay, some people would say, well, Theosophy, that is the teaching of the Theosophical Society. That is a misunderstanding. No? The society, according to Blavatsky in her book, The Key to Theosophy, she said that the society has no wisdom of its own to support or teach. It is simply the storehouse of all the truths uttered by the great seers, initiates, and prophets of historic and even prehistoric ages, at least as many as it can get. Therefore, it is merely the channel, the society is merely the channel through which more or less of truth found in the accumulated utterances of humanity's great teachers is poured out into the world. So that is the more or less the kernel, the real meaning of theosophy.